welcome to my store. So here's Mr. Seahorse.
Mr. Seahorse. Okay.
Well, it could be Miss. I'll tell you in a minute when I see him in the tank, or her. So what I've been doing is every time this fills up, I just scoop her back up in here. So this has been running about 3 hours or so.
So, since that water was already sterile, is the water that he or she came in sterile as well?
No, but it has the pathogens that he or she is used to. Okay? Now, what some people do is they don't mix seahorses from two different locations ever, because that way the one will give the other one its pathogens that it's used to, but the other one isn't, and vice versa. Okay? One thing about seahorses, you notice I don't have any gravel in the tank, and I keep this tank really, really clean. You never let any uneaten food sit around, because a seahorse does not have any protection in his belly against food that's even slightly spoiled. If you could provide live food for it all the time, that's the best. It's just really hard to do. The dwarf seahorses, they can live on live baby brine for their entire lives, okay? And you can raise up. They only have like 10 or 12 babies, so the babies are big enough to eat baby brine right from day one, right until their end. So they've went through many, many generations. A lot of the other ones, you got to start them off because they're so tiny. You got to feed them rotifers at the start, and then after about a week and a half, you can feed them baby brine. And then you can only feed them baby brine for another couple of weeks, and then you got to switch them over to mysis shrimp because the baby brine aren't big enough anymore. But this one here, I'm not sure what kind it is yet. I'll go home and look it up on the computer.
Or we can call the seahorse guy.
Aaron?
What?
So you're thinking that if I call a seahorse guy and I say I got an orange seahorse with some black splotches on him, that he'd be able to tell me what it was?
He might.
Seahorses have such a wide variety of colors. If they are in a predominantly yellow area, they're yellow. If they're in a
well, then how's the internet gonna know?
Because you count the number of scales and the number of rings on the tail.
You're gonna sit there and count the number of rings and the number of scales.
How many are there? There's like 30, 20. I don't know. There's not many. Yeah,
okay.
That's how you tell.
I'll sit upstairs while you do that.
Well, either that or you hire somebody that's got a DNA analyzer, and that'd probably work. Okay, is it a boy or is it a girl?
I don't know.
What do you think?
How do you tell?
Okay.
It's big.
You look right there. See there?
Uh-huh.
See how that's pretty flat?
Uh-huh.
This is a girl, okay? Now, if it was bulgy and saggy right in there, that would be the brood sac, and that would be a boy, okay?
Right in where?
Right in there. See right at the end of my finger?
Yeah.
Yeah, right in there. That would be... It'd look like a guy's beer gut. A little floppy, a little saggy, especially if the seahorses had babies. And a seahorse this size probably has had babies. Okay?
And then that thing, as we previously had seahorses, that's just for them to hold on to, because they like to hold on to stuff. It's just a PVC pipe, and Dad puts some airline tubing through it.
Well, you see, the advantage of that is I have this filter up here, which is a waterfall type filter. So when the food comes in, it goes shwoom and just keeps swirling around. Seahorses like to see their food moving. You can train them to eat off a plate or a shell or a feeding station, but when they first come in and they're a little iffy about eating, then they don't know about mysis shrimp. This guy's never seen a mysis shrimp because, hey, it's fresh water and he's not fresh water. And so you got to have it moving past him to trigger the hit reflex, because he flicks his head up really, really fast, and that's how he grabs food, because he can't like chase it because he's really slow moving. But they live in the sea grasses and the sargassum weed floating through the ocean and stuff, so there's always lots of shrimp in there, and that's what they eat. So this hitching post thing, because it's only touching the bottom in a couple of spots, like if I put it up like that, food will gather in the center, okay, because that's an area of dead water. So I just lay it on its side. He can wrap his tail around that. Seahorse is the only fish with a prehensile tail. So if you ever need a trivia question that nobody's ever going to get, but as soon as you tell them the answer, they're going to go, oh man, well, that's it. what fish has a prehensile tail? Or just name any fish that has a prehensile tail. Then they think there's more than one, and they'll never get it.
Yeah.
Unless they're a fish guy, and then they'll get it right away.
Sure. But when are you ever gonna need that?
I've known that information for 15 years. I finally got a chance to use it.
So the pipefish doesn't have a prehensile tail?
No.
The pipe horse doesn't?
No.
The leafy sea dragon doesn't?
No. What does prehensile mean?
You can grab stuff with it.
Right. And do you remember the pipefish upstairs?
Yeah.
Did he ever grab anything with it?
There was nothing to grab.
Did he ever try to grab anything?
I don't know, I didn't see him. I wasn't watching him, I don't stalk seahorses.
You watched him all the time. You sat there in rapt amazement, just gazing in wonder
No, I
and
did
awe.
not.
Yes, you
I
did.
stared at the ones that were in the refugium for a while.
Well, those were seahorses. They had a prehensile tail. So you'll only look at them if they got a prehensile tail. Otherwise, it's just not worth your time.
Apparently.
Okay, so that's the seahorse. So
we'll go upstairs and we'll do the octopus now.